Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here. It's running the 6-game CSGO main slate on Friday. A couple things before I get in the video. If you're new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos talking about NBA, NFL, XFL, and now esports for daily fantasy. Before I get in the video, too, just want to say I hope you guys are all staying safe. Hope you guys are all doing well in these tough times right now. With the way things are looking right now, we might not get sports for a little bit. So I figured all we have right now is esports to play. And I have watched way too much esports the last few days, but I'm starting to learn some CSGO, some League of Legends as well. This video will be just for the CSGO main slate here on Friday. So I guess before I get into the video, the way this works, if you're not familiar with CSGO, it is a best of 3 as far as games go, and then the rounds, it's first team to 16, so it's best of 30. And then there's like an offensive team, a defensive team that kind of switch back and forth. One team has the bomb, one team defends 2 sites. It's basically kill dependent as far as like scoring goes. So this is the scoring right now here for DraftKings. Kills are 1.5 points, assists are 1 point, deaths are -1. An entry kill, which is the first blood, basically is half a point, and they reward you for having some clutches. 1v2 clutches, 1 point. 1v3 is 2 points. 1v4 is 3 points, and 1v5 is 5 points. A quad kill is 3, and an ace is 5 points. So again, this game is very killing dependent for as far as fantasy purposes go. The game length adjustment. That's just, say a team blows out of another team and wins in 20 rounds. Say they win 16-4 or something like that. That kind of reward, or it doesn't hurt you if you blow out a team, right? So it'll give you, your adjustment for the 30 rounds. So you would, your player scored, you can multiply by 30 and then divided by however many numbers the rounds are played. So yeah, that's basically it for the rules and how the game works. There's roster construction goes. There's 1 captain, then 5 flex spots. Normally in these main sites, there's only been 4 games. On this one, there's 6 games. So I guess what we can do now is look at what lineups won tournaments in recent days. So this one was, this one was from a few days ago. Let's see, it had 2 from one team, 2 from one team, and then 1-1. So it's a 2-2-1-1 stack. On these 4-game slates, we've seen a lot of, at least 2 stacks, maybe even a 3 stack, which is, 2 players from one team or 3 players from one team. On this one, I believe that was yesterday's slate. There's actually 3 players from one team, the G2 team, because they just blew out VP, Hunter, Kenny S, and Nexa. And then it was a 3-2-1 stack. Now for this slate, it might be a little bit different because there's 6 teams, and most of the games are expected to be pretty close. So now what we can do is look at some Vegas odds. Yes, they have Vegas odds for CSGO, guys. So this is what we're looking at right now. So the odds to win are right here. FaZe Clan versus OG. FaZe Clan are, decent favorites at -230. Virtus Pro versus Tyloo. Virtus Pro is -290. They're the biggest favorites on the slate. I think that's where we get some value. We'll talk about that in a bit. But VP has been a team I actually have watched on stream the last couple days. They haven't been great, but there are a couple of players that I want to bring up, and they're playing a much worse team now, and they're favored. So we'll talk about a couple of those players here in a bit. Mouse Sports versus G2, basically a pick 'em right there. So that one should stay close. 100 Thieves and Furia also expected to stay close, right? 100 Thieves are only -160 favorites. Swole Patrol and MIBR, kind of the same thing. Team Liquid, EG, also expected to be somewhat close. Team Liquid, -180 favorites. So with that all out of the way, I guess we can get into it. So let's jump into the slate. Yes, they have some decent sized contests here for CSGO. There is, for the slate tomorrow on Friday, which is this video, there is a $10 15K to first tournament. So let's jump into it. And again, by no means am I an expert here, guys. I've been just watching a lot of CSGO recently. I'm doing my best to kind of tell you guys who I like based on what I've seen. So I guess we can go team by team here. We'll start with here, let me go to the flex spot. We'll start with OG. So OG is a team I watched a little bit today. They actually did fall to VP, surprisingly. That was a pretty big upset. But what we can do, since I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it, is they do have a website. I think it's just Pro ESL. This is the Pro League for CS:GO, where they do have some stats here on players. And again, KD is very, very important in this game. So since I didn't get to watch a whole lot of OG, we can just go filter by team, go to OG, and boom, they have their KDs here. So one guy that stands out here, right? This is for season 11, is Mantu. He's at a 1.39 KD. So again, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it, but he stands out as a pretty solid player now. Only 6.2K. Now, where's OG? They are underdogs here, but that is a value guy that do have some interest there at that price. So that's kind of who I'm looking at there for OG. Again, since this is a 6-game slate, I don't necessarily think we have to go crazy with stacks unless you think a team blows out another team. And again, I think the only chance there would be VP. We'll talk about in a bit. But let's talk about FaZe now. So FaZe is a team that I haven't got to watch a whole lot either, but they do have, we do have some stats here, fantasy points per game. And the guy that obviously stands out at the top here is Nico, 86.2 fantasy points per game. Now, I believe they only have a few matches on here, 3 matches, but 98, 57, and 103 fantasy points in those 3 games. So obviously he is the guy that has flashed the most upside here for FaZe. 54 kills, 36 deaths, 58 kills, 62 deaths, not the best game, then 74 and 55. So he's the guy I'm kind of eyeing on FaZe for this slate. Another guy that I would have some interest in is Cold Zera there. 58 fantasy points at only 6.6K. But I think Nico is the guy that I have the most interest in. Again, we'll talk about some value plays here in a bit that I really like. But let's move on to the next game here, G2 versus Mouse Esports. So G2 is a team that I have got to watch a decent amount, and Hunter is a guy that I really like. I've played him the last few slates. He has been crushing it, 71 and then 104 points that last game against VP. Now again, that was VP is one of the worst teams, but that is good to see that he is a guy that has a lot of upside. He's only at 7.4K. So a guy kind of priced in the mid-range, I guess we're talking about. 8.8K is the top. 5K is the bottom. So Hunter's the guy at 7.4K. I like a good amount. I also have a good amount of interest in Kenny S at 7K. 85.3 fantasy points per game. Hunter's at 87.3. Another guy that I do like is Nexa, but he's at 83.1. The last 3 games, I think I would rather save money, go Hunter there and Kenny S. So Hunter and Kenny S for G2 are 2 guys I really like, kind of in the mid-range there. Again, they're G2. Where's G2? It's basically pick them there with Mouse Esports, so that one should stay close. But those are the 2 guys I'm eyeing for G2. On Mouse Esports side, Rops is a guy that I have a good amount of interest in at 8K. No, he's expensive, but he is a guy that I've played last couple of slates as well. He also had a really good day there against VP. 8K, I think he's a spin up I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Another guy has some interest in is Frozen at 7K. If you can't get to Rops at the top there, I think he's a pretty decent option, averaging 60.8 fantasy points per game. All right, but let's move on to this next game here. So I honestly don't even know what team this is. They're not in the ESL. I'm not exactly sure how this works, but there's some teams that are not in the ESL that are on this slate. Because if we go to teams here, they are not on here, and they haven't played anyone. So that's something, again, I'm still learning the sport as well. But they're a team I don't have a whole lot of interest in. Now, if we look at the Vegas odds here, Tyloo, that's their name. Virtus Pro, VP, is the team that has been really bad. But they are huge favorites here, minus 290. So, again, this is where I think we can get some value on this slate. They're playing a team, Tyloo. I don't know. They're not in the ESL. I'm not entirely sure here. But VP is a team that, again, they're heavily favored. So, and they're all priced down. So this is where I think we could get some value here. The 2 guys that I really like are Jamie at 6.4 he has been the guy that, again, I've watched VP last few days. He has been the guy that's been really impressive to me. Again, I know the stats are a little bit up and down, but they've played a lot better teams. This is a much better matchup, so he's a guy that I like a good amount for value, as well as Q-Kurt. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Those are the two that have flashed the most upside. Again, no one really did get the good in that game against G2. They got blown out, so don't be super concerned about that. Against a pretty solid team, it's Mouse Esports, he put up 76. Yeah, so Q-Kurt and Jamie are the two guys I like a good amount here for value. Again, I think that's where we can load up for value on this slate. Let's move on to the next game, EG versus TL. EG side, I've been locking and loading Breezy the last few games here. He has been dominating. He's dominating in this slate going on right now. Yeah, he's the guy that has the most upside right now in EG. He uses the sniper rifle a lot, and he is just amazing with it. So I like Breezy, or Breeze. I think they pronounce it Breezy. He has really looked good. So he's a spend up I like a lot here. Also have some interest in Cirque, but I would prefer Breezy there at his price. And then Tark, if you want to go crazy in EG, if you want to play like more than or a couple guys, I don't hate Tark, but again, Breezy is the guy that I really prefer here. And again, I think we get the value there with VP to fit a lot of these high-priced guys in our lineup. Let's move on to TL. So TL is a team I haven't really got to watch yet, but again, what we can do is we can go to KD ratio, we can filter by team, and we can go to, I believe it's Team Liquid. Let me confirm that. Yep, Team Liquid. So where's Team Liquid? Here we are. We can look at KDs here, and the guy that stands out, Twist at 1.28, but he hasn't been great recently. Yeah, so he's actually been down recently. So I don't know if I can trust that stat line actually, because let's see, 26 and 40, 33 and 38, 54 and 54. Yeah, so that might be a little bit inaccurate, but still, I mean, again, you can get a decent judgment of players by kind of scrolling through and looking at their KDs. So maybe not look at Twist. Honestly, this might be a team I stay away from just because I don't know a whole lot about them, and they are pretty priced up. What's the Vegas line in this one? EG versus TL. They are minus 180 favorites against EG. So EG is the guy that has had the most fantasy points recently. Twist is the guy, I guess, historically that's been the best. But this might be a team that I stay away from just because, again, I don't know. I haven't got to watch any of their games. But I guess EG and Twist would be the guys I would look to there if it was going to play someone on Team Liquid. Again, guys, I'm by no means an expert at this. I'm still learning too, but I'm going to do my best to break this down for you guys just from what I've consumed. Again, I've watched a lot of Counter-Strike here the last 3 or 4 days. Next game here is Furia versus 100T. This is another value play I love. Caserato. Yeah, he has been really good. He was chalky today. Was kind of a letdown, but again, he's at a really cheap price tag at 6.8K. This one is expected to stay pretty close, right? They're only plus 125 dogs. He's the guy that has flashed the most upside. The other guy that I do like too is Yuri. He's at 6K flat. So those are two value guys as well as those VP guys that I do like a good amount. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking for value right now, are Caserato and Yuri, and then those two VP guys I talked about, Q-Kurt and Jamie. But let's move on to 100 Thieves. Again, we can look at 100 Thieves as a team that I got to watch a little bit, but not a whole lot, so not like super confident just off of what I've seen. So we can look at stats here. JKS is the guy that stands out right now, 1.17 KD, and he is the fourth most expensive guy in the team. And also, he is the most fantasy point, I guess, tied for the most fantasy points per game. So he would be the guy I would look to here for 100 Thieves if I was going to target someone, probably him or Gratisfaction. Let's move on to the last game here, MIBR versus S. S's team again? I think it's something pro. Swole Patrol. Okay, so let's take a look at the Vegas odds here. Let's see. That one's, MIBR slight favorites, but not crazy. So let's talk about MIBR first. The guy that stands out to me is Fallen. He's playing right now. MIBR versus EG, and Fallen's the guy that's been really dominating for MIBR. So he's probably my favorite play there at 7.4K. The other two guys that have some interest in are Fur and KNGV, but I think Fallen is the guy that has the most upside. And again, just based on what I've seen, he is the guy that looks like the team leader there for MIBR. So I do like him kind of in the mid-range there at 7.4K. Lastly, we'll talk about Swole Patrol. So Swole Patrol is a team that I haven't really got to see, but Zelsis at 6.4K has flashed some upside here. And again, he's at a pretty cheap price tag, so I think he is a viable play. Against a good team in EG, he put up 77 fantasy points. Against TL, put 68. So he's another value guy that I do have some interest in. Freakazoid had a good game in the first game that I watched earlier today, but again, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of that. So I think Zelsis would be a value guy that I would have some interest there as well. So I think that kind of wraps it up. Again, what we've seen out of winning lineups the last 3 or 4 slates have been kind of 3-2-1 stacks or 2-2-1-1 stacks. This one, since it's a 6-game slate, I don't think you have to go crazy on stacks. Like, I don't know if a 3-man stack's going to be ideal for a 6-game slate, but I think something maybe like a 2-2-1-1 or even a 2-1-1-1-1, right? Like, there's, again, 6 games, so there's a lot more we can go to. The value that I talked about, again, the guys on the VP side, they're pretty heavy favorites, and they're playing a pretty bad team that is not in the ESL. Again, still not entirely sure how that works. Another team that a team is not in the ESL, but they're playing VP. But again, VPs, that's where I think we can get some value, as well as Furia. Again, Quesarado and Uria, the two guys I'm looking at there. And then Zelsis as a value guy there for Swole Patrol. Okay, but I think that basically wraps it up, guys. Hopefully you enjoy this content. Again, I want to say this one more time, but I'm by no means an expert at this. I'm still learning, but just what I have recently watched, as well as Vegas odds, as well as looking at some stats that they have in the Pro League, I feel pretty decent about this slate. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. But yeah, since normally I do live stream, before lock, but this is the lock is like 11 o'clock Central, so it's like midday. I'll be working, so I'll not be able to live stream for this slate. But I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have either in the comment section down below or on Twitter. I will have a video up for the League of Legends slate. That'll be up after this, so be on the lookout for that. So thanks again for having to come and check out the video. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys all later.